it's never really a lack of focus. But trying too hard and trying to make up for the lack of production that I've, given this team and this city. And
so here's what's interesting with what Pete Crow Armstrong is saying. Trying to make up for what I have done and letting down, this team, my city, all this, right? Okay. There's some things to be seen here. Today, Pete Crow Armstrong, if you didn't know, makes a crazy error that gives up a Little League home run, basically, which is an inside the Parker to the Brewers, where the Cubs would go on to lose 5-0. The reason I'm talking about Pete in the first place is because his attitude and antics have been off the rails. Don't know if you saw it. He cussed out a White Sox lady during the White Sox series. He has an error in that game in his own regard, at least by missing a catch. He bobbles a ball 2 games ago against the Brewers, and then obviously, like I said, in this past game that just happened yesterday, also misses a ball and then gives up an inside the park home run. I think it's important to know that he's recognizing that he's trying to make up for things, meaning he was going to get the ball, he was going to try to throw the guy out at home, and I think that explains his plate discipline that's not there with him trying to hit home runs every single time. Now, let's let Pete finish and what's going on mentally. Back to Pete Crow Armstrong.
Not acting how I should, and I think anything physical usually starts mental, and I think that's just what I'm showing everybody right now. So I just show up and keep pushing, but that can't happen. That kind of stuff, that just can't happen.
That just can't happen is kind of an understatement. Pete Crow Armstrong is getting paid $107 million for, I think, 6 years, if I remember correctly, meaning he is one of the highest paid players on the Chicago Cubs. He's not just an everyday Joe. He is paid like a star, and at his fullest potential is one. Baseball, however, is, as he said, right, a mental sport. I would argue it's the second biggest mental hurdle sport behind golf and maybe the Masters, right, in golf specifically. You're playing 162 games. You have people heckling you. You have, obviously, social media. Pete Crow Armstrong's close to my age, right? You have all this stuff going on, and you have to find a way to tune it out. And as we saw again with the White Sox lady interaction, he's not tuning anything out. He's letting people get in. And what this leads me to say is something that I think the Cubs should do realistically for a couple games, and it's to give PCA some off days. I love that he loves the game. I love that he wants to play every game, and, he thinks he'll just cut out of the slump himself, right? Whatever the slump is with doing errors and not hitting the ball to his best of his abilities. But I think he needs to sit and rest his mind. As he's mentioning here, all of these mental hurdles that he's facing, he needs to maybe detox from social media. I remember that was a huge thing for Halliburton before the playoffs for the Pacers. If you know basketball, he deleted social media and he went nuclear during the playoffs and just completely locked into another level we haven't really ever seen a player do. And it's because he cut off the social media, he cut off the BS and just locked into basketball. So PCA needs to lock in to baseball. But this is not the end of what I like in this interview. Let's go back to it.
I mean, I haven't contributed to any games where I've given people a chance to feel any sort of good way about what I'm doing out there. So it's just up to me to turn that stuff around and, saving energy, not going in there and slamming a bunch of stuff and making a scene when I really don't feel like I got that right to right now.
I feel like I'm doing a school project. Anyway, Pete Crow Armstrong goes on the end here to explain I haven't done anything good for people to feel good about me, and I'm really angry, right? But it wouldn't be good for me to go in the clubhouse and throw a bunch of stuff around because I don't think I deserve to do so. And he's right. He does not deserve to do so, but even if he was playing good, he wouldn't deserve to do so. I think it's good to remember something about Pete Crow Armstrong. This is not me giving an excuse, but this is me being real. About him being a young guy, right? Born in 2001, meaning he's around 25 years old. This is a young man. Anybody who's watching who's older than 25, anybody who's watching who's around that age knows that we make mistakes. Not only as men, but as humans. And I think when you get put under a spotlight, like a star baseball player for a humongous team like the Chicago Cubs, it gets very hard. And I don't want this video to be a hit piece on Pete Crow Armstrong, somebody who could really be feeling the mental hurdles of being a young man in sport, correct? However, you do know when you get to a certain status that you have to carry yourself with a certain regard. And that is the frustrating part to me, not only as a fan, but a fan of Pete, right? Is to see his reactions to things. Something came out in the offseason where a father came up to Pete and said, hey, my son's actually been throwing down his helmet, his bat and everything in anger every time he strikes out. And he said, when I asked him why, he said because Pete Crow Armstrong does it. And Pete took a second and realized, okay, I need to stop doing that. Well, Pete, you can't then go and cuss at a lady at a White Sox game. You know, you can't get angry and let your emotions take over when you are in such high regard. Now, did you put yourself there? No, and it's not your fault, but you are a role model. And when you're a role model, it's deeper than you're a guy going and just swinging a bat. However, I would recommend, not like I'm a professional baseball player. Look at me doing this stuttering. I'm not a professional baseball player, but I would recommend having fun again. I think it's easy to get up there and, like he said and he admitted, try to make every swing make up for everything that's wrong. Or make every throw out the greatest throw out ever. Or every catch the greatest catch, right? We've seen all three of those things from Pete. And guess what? We've seen in the past him make some of the greatest catches ever. Him make some incredible throwouts. And him have some incredible hits, home runs, inside the park home run. All of it, right? We know the guy that Pete Crow Armstrong is. He has to remember who he is. This isn't like, oh, wow, look, Luke's doing an inspiration thing. No, I'm being for real. He has to remember who he is, to play loose, to play fun, and just to play ball. That's what this video is to say, hey, Pete, take a second, hopefully take a few games off, and get back to playing Pete Crow Armstrong baseball. Hit a single, steal a base, maybe even get another base, right? Ground, hey, get on the ground, get that ball. Maybe don't make a throw, let one run score, it'll all be fine. One is better to give up than three, right? And you know, if you're running after it and trying to get that ball at the wall, you'll get it next time. You're Pete Crow Armstrong. There's no reason to try to make up for things in the past. That is deeper than baseball, realistically, if we're being real. And maybe there's something going on there with Pete, but I don't know the guy personally, so I'm not going to assume. But I'll say you can't make up for anything with one swing. You can't make up for anything with one catch. And you sure as hell can't make up for anything with one throw out at home. And sometimes you accidentally give up 3. That's my video. Thank you for watching.